Curling enters the Sports Weekend spotlight.
1963, when they took the Brier to Brandon.
Hi, everybody. I'm Don Whitman with Don Duguid, two-time world champion.
Reveille will take the game.
Not a question about it. Right on the nose. It never wavered.
A little bit of curling history for you.
High drama, high intensity.
Hi again, curling fans. Called the long and winding granite odyssey that was this season finally coming to an end. It's been a long season. Awesome to see you again, Cole.
As soon as you squeeze Olympics and Paralympics into a season, the season is always longer. But it's not over yet. The under-18s begin in Oakville this week, and our two Canadian champs that we watched in Saskatoon when we were there for the Olympic trials, Owen Purcell from Nova Scotia and Ladouceur from Northern Ontario. They head over to Europe for the World Championships in May. So it's a long and winding road and season.
Hello to the fans. We have missed you. Let us know where you're tuning in from tonight. We always love hearing from you, and we're already seeing the fans chiming in. Call where do you even want to begin? I mean, we're going to start with Curling Canada CEO Catherine Henderson. There's a lot to talk about tonight.
There is a lot to talk about just in terms of where do we go from here? Now that sports sort of divides themselves in curling into these 4-year quadrennials. And when you look at the quadrennials, and we were talking about Pyeongchang, what changes, what can happen differently, understanding the lens of COVID has made things difficult for a lot of teams and curlers and curling clubs. So it's under that lens that we're trying to look ahead into a crystal ball.
Yeah, and of course, when we were debriefing Pyeongchang, who could have ever imagined that this quadrennial would take on this sort of monster, if you want.
Deja vu all over again. Yeah. And in some ways, there are so many historic great things about this season. When you think about sort of the heroic performance, especially of Brad Gushu's team, to win those Olympic trials, to fight so hard for that bronze medal, the only one medal Canada won at those Olympics for curling. And then to win the Brier, like that is an epic season, how they did it when Mark Nichols went down. So that is sort of such a season for Team Gushu that we'll remember for a long time as being incredibly epic.
No question. All right, let's get right to it because we have a jam show and we have joked about it for 2 years now, Call, our second season coming to an end, that we try to keep these things to 30 minutes. It's not going to
be 30 minutes this time.
But we're going to get right to Catherine Henderson, who has just arrived back in Canada from Geneva. Hello to you, Catherine, and welcome back to Canada. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Why don't we start right there on the performance by Jocelyn and Brett? Of course, curling so great all week, but then losing out in that first playoff game, you had a front row seat to it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think the most disappointed people there were probably Brett and Jocelyn. They had an amazing week, and the rocks just didn't work for them in that particular game. We at Curling Canada are still really proud of them. They represented Canada beautifully. We wished, and I think alongside them that they would have medaled, but sometimes those things just happen.
Yeah, mixed doubles, that was an incredible field too.
Really,
what a year Eve Muirhead's had, from the Olympic gold and now winning this as well. And that field was definitely a wow field. But let's go back to Pyeongchang 4 years ago. Devin, you recall the conversation with Catherine?
Yeah, Catherine, and you and I were talking about that and what a challenging moment it was. I think in reflection of that, you talked about how emotional it was, because it was the first time we saw at the Olympics Canadian teams not reaching the podium. And I think the word you used at that time was aberration, that we didn't see this coming. 4 years removed, how are you feeling? How would you describe where we're at with Canadian curling?
And just before every curling fan jumps on that, we did hit the podium in the mixed doubles. So keep going.
And I do want to remind you, we've won Paralympic medals both times, in both Pyeongchang and in Beijing. and our wheelchair curlers are, are pretty world class. I think at the time it was an aberration for the time, because that was the first time it hadn't happened. But I think clearly the world has caught up to Canada. So on one hand, as somebody that works in the sport, and I mean this, philosophically, that's what you want to see. You want to see the competition get better and better. You want to see your competitors get better and better, and you really want to be seeing people curling at that highest level. And I think absolutely that's what we're seeing. So if I was Colin Grahamslaw, who was who's basically my counterpart at the World Curling Federation, in 2014 there were only 3 nations on the podium, just in different orders: Scotland, Sweden, and Canada. And by the time you got to Pyeongchang, I believe it was 6 or 7 nations on the podium. So what you've seen is a huge improvement, and that has just continued. I think you do see Canada. We're kind of the evangelists. We've brought curling to many countries. We've worked hand in hand with the World Curling Federation, but teams want to compete here. They want to train here. They use our, some of our coaching. So, you really are seeing the quality of curling rise, but at the same time, it's getting harder and harder to win medals.
Absolutely. So what needs to change? Because as we were, the evangelists and all of this and world dominators for so long, but now how do we become the trendsetter in this again? Can changes happen? How do we?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think there's 2 things that need to change. So one is, I think we probably need to change the expectation that every time Canada goes to a world event, that we're going to bring home a gold medal. The fact of the matter is that there are just many nations out there that have fantastic teams, and their business model is quite a bit different than ours. So they are training full time. They are, and that's really what they do. It's not to say that we can't get there, and it's not to say that we can't lead the way there, but we do have some fundamental changes that we need to work through in consultation with our stakeholders. Particularly, we need to hear from our athletes where they want to take this, and our funders. So, for example, I'm going through a whole set of reviews, technical reviews with our high performance department coming up with On the Podium, who are our funders, our high performance funders, and then as we always do, after every year, we go through a very significant high performance review. And we will be, I think, taking a bit of a deeper dive and starting to look not just at the technical parts, but really the culture and the structure of our events and how we support all of this to make sure that we are doing absolutely everything we can to make sure that Canada's climbing up that podium as much as we're able to.
Can I ask you specifically, I don't want to get too inside curling, Catherine, but 2 things really stand out to me. The draw to the button, because that determined a playoff spot at the Olympics, and Canada wasn't great at it. We haven't always put the most importance on that in the Brier and the Scotties. And this idea where you get to a semifinal and it's 1 game and you win, you move on, you lose, you're not moving on. Do we need to look at changes in the format of our national championships?
Yeah, I think that we are going to sit down and take a look at all of those things. Really at the end of the day, I think what you're implying, or what I'm hearing, is you really want those teams that can perform over and over and over and over again consistently to be the ones that are getting up on the podium, and really not leaving random things out there that can be changed. The circumstances can be changed by a little bit of picking the ice, or any of those things. You really do want to have competitions in which the best teams in the world are able to perform consistently through the whole competition and then get themselves to the podium. So yes.
I think somebody just brought up the timing on one of the points, the timing of the Olympic trials, and then that people have to squeeze in the mixed Olympic trials, which of course didn't happen this year. What about the prioritizing of some things, like the Canadian mixed doubles didn't happen this year, and Jocelyn Brett, everybody agrees, are a terrific team, but that those didn't happen yet, the Brier and the Scotties and another under 21s and under 18. So how do you prioritize that when mixed doubles are, also at the Olympic Games and should be high priority?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'll tell you, it's like we were so disappointed. The canceling of mixed doubles this year had everything to do with Omicron variants and nothing to do with, us putting that in any sort of different priority. And I would actually suggest that I think mixed doubles has done phenomenally well at the Olympic Games and is becoming a specialized discipline. I think you're going to start to see some athletes that putting their hand up and saying, I'm going to move myself over to this discipline. I think it's only, in terms of its popularity and in terms of its viewership, it's only going to go up. So, we see it as actually increased focus in the area of mixed doubles.
Great. Kath, we're going to get to Ben Hebert next, but before you go, I think we're all going to be together at a symposium, an important symposium at the end of the month in Niagara Falls, talking about diversity, inclusion, and a bunch of really fulsome conversations. So maybe a word on that.
Yeah. Thanks very much for that. So, we've been talking about high performance national team athletes, obviously very critical, but equally critical for us is grassroots curling. There's 2 million people in Canada in a non-COVID year that curl at least once. There's probably, just a little under 1 million that are regular curlers. And what we want to make sure is that that when we say curling is for everybody, curling really is for everyone. So in partnership with the University of Waterloo, we've put together a symposium on May 26th to 28th. I would invite anyone listening or to go on our website, take a look, register. Everyone is more than welcome. And of course, one of the people that will be featured is Devin Naru, who will be speaking about changing the face of curling. And it's bringing new curlers in and making sure that anyone that wants to play not only can figure out how to play, but feels welcome and wants to become part of Team Canada Curling.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
Thanks.
Can't wait for that, Kath. And I know the jet lag. It's late in Geneva, Switzerland right now. So so generous of you to join us here. And obviously, we'll let you get some rest. But thank you for making the time.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
And she's actually just back flying so she's just literally walked in her door. And so she must be really tired.
Yeah.
You know what that jet lag and you haven't even gone to sleep it's like.
Absolutely. I think Benny Hebert is getting ready for a big birthday party today. So he was gracious enough to also join us and squeeze us in. And you've got yourself on mute there, Benny. But I know we got to get you going because what's happening? Great to see you.
Great to see you. I got a surprise birthday party for my wife in 15 minutes. She knows it's going on now, but she doesn't know the guest list. So I got a few surprises still up my sleeve here.
Nice. All right, let's talk about this incredible team, because if ever there was a super team, this new team that you're part of with Brendan Botcher definitely looks like every single position from bottom at lead to the skipper is unbelievable. How excited are you?
Yeah, even me. Yeah, I mean, there's so many good teams. I think when you see the new teams coming out in positions of, who you think is going to be good on paper and who's not. And we're not rookies over here. You kind of know, I know, just listen to Catherine there talking about, where Canada is in curling. And I think, Colleen, when you were winning, and Sandra and Jen and Rachel and Kevin Martin and Stoughton and Wayne and Glenn and Brad and Cooey, like Curling Canada didn't have to make any changes. Why would they make any changes? We're winning. We're dominating. And I think now the last 4, maybe 6 years, I mean, ours in Pyeongchang, I'm not going to throw Curling Canada on their bus. I mean, we were the second best team there, probably behind Nick. We could have beat Nick in the final, but, that was an upset. We didn't go there unprepared. It wasn't because of the trials timing. Right. This year, I think it's safe to say, Brad Gushu's team, I mean, hats off to them. They've had a great year, but they were the third best team there. Nick's team and Moed's team were probably the 1 and 2 ranked teams. So I think what you see in the world of curling happening now is those European teams, whether it be their programs change to beat us. If you think that my new team of Brendan and Brett and Mark, we're not going to be looking at what Nick's team does and what Moed's team does to try. Like, we are. We don't have the egos of like, well, we used to be better than them. Well, we're not. So they copied us to get to where they wanted to get to and then elevated it to a next level. And we're going to try to do the same thing. I think you're naive to not look at those teams and see what they're doing to try to benefit. So I'm really pumped with the guys we have, like you say. We've had some really good talks about the things we want to do to get there. And, having talent is one thing. And, hey, I'm grateful to be able to play with, young stallions like Brendan and Brett. They still want this old workhorse on the broom, which I'm excited about. But obviously to have Mark Kennedy, who I'm biased, played with him forever. He's one of my best buds. And I think the best third in our country, we're going to have to work really hard, to beat Nick and to beat Brad Gushu still. And, Cooey and Moet, like putting talent together is one thing. I'm super grateful that we have an opportunity because we certainly have the guys that can win.
Benny, in the course of what you were just saying, and Catherine kind of said, oh, now it's all the countries, but it's Sweden, Scotland, and Canada still, isn't it? Even on the women's side, and Switzerland it's still, I know all the teams are great, but.
Yeah, Switzerland has some good men's, and Elena Pet's just unbelievable. She's the biggest killer of them all, right? So, right. And even the depth, though, the B teams, like you see the young team, like Schuster's still good, that Dropkin's coming up. And there's a couple other teams there that before, their best game, they could never have a chance to beat you. You have a couple in the patch the night before and you just wax them up. You got to pay attention to those games, and you never used to be able to. So even the teams that maybe aren't at that level, you still got to bring a good game or you could find yourself in the loss column. So yeah, that's what I see on the world stage.
Benny, are there any tangible changes that you would make though to the structure of the Brier, the timing of are there anything that you have thought about that you would say, this is what we need to change? I get competition. I get the expectation you're not going to win gold every time, but are there actually things we can be doing in this country that can better prepare our teams?
Yeah, I think the experience of the players, and I think you're going to see the teams that are built. I think a lot of it's on the players too. I certainly think Curling Canada has a lot of smart people there, and they've done a great job for a lot of years. They know it's time to adjust. This isn't a players thing pushing it down the avenue. They need to do it. They know it's time to adjust as well, and we know as players we need to adjust. I think the one key thing for us is once we found out Brett was moving to Alberta with Jocelyn, was to build a local team, to be able to lift weights in the summer together, to be able to do all of our events in the summer, to be able to practice in the winter and not have to fly in BJ and Mark Kennedy go to the Sioux and not have Jeff Walker go to Newfoundland. Like you saw when I curled with Kevin Martin and Mark Kennedy was there and John Morris was here and we were together all the time. And there was a reason a lot of that stuff happened. So yeah, there's things Curling Canada can do certainly. And I think there's a lot on the table that they're going to talk about. I don't want to get into specifics, but I also think it's on the players to take some onus of what we need to do. Like we look at Nick's team and Moat's team and be like, okay, what did they do? It wasn't by fluke how me and Brendan and Mark and Brett ended up together. We know the teams that we were chasing and the things that we need to do that they do. And being local here, Brett's moving actually to Chestermere where I live. We're going to be able to crank weights together all summer, practice together. And whenever we want to whip up to Red Deer, Edmonton, or they're come down here, we're a 2-hour drive away. And I think
love that. We've all talked about the import rule, and imports have been the trend for the last 4 years, except maybe for Gushu's team. I know that he's got Jeff not in St. John's, but they were a pretty tight training team together.
Why they were so good. That was huge for them, even to have Brett out there 3 out of 4. And not to say the leads don't matter. I don't think we matter as much, but having your second, third, and skip there to track rocks and practice, I think it's huge. I think it was key to their success.
Yeah. So this team though, when it was put together, did you kind of feel that, and not that you always seem pretty high energy, but did you feel like this is it?
Yeah, I'm obviously, I'm super excited. I don't get too excited that much anymore. I'm an old guy. I've won a lot of stuff, but people on the outside you don't get to see. But Brett Gallant, he's one of my best buddies on the tour. We golf together in summer. He comes out here lots and visits Joss. We've developed a really good friendship over the last few years. So I'm keen on him. He's a superstar. So obviously that doesn't hurt. And obviously Mark Kennedy, me and him curled together when I was 22 and he was 23 for 12 years, 12 epic years. I know when we broke, me and him said some stuff to each other because I was sour. He left and, I was being a dick to him. So he said back to me. And I was just choked he went to Jacobs because I knew how good he was, right? I didn't want to get left behind. And so, sometimes you don't know what you have until it's gone. And, I'm very grateful to be able to, start my career with Mark and, we'll see what happens here, but maybe finish my career with him as well. So he's a superstar. If you look at the resume of Brendan Botcher and what he's done the last 5 years as a 25 to 30-year-old, he's coming into the heat of his prime here, 30 to 34. And I think there's a lot of things that, me and Brett and Mark can help Brendan with, but I think there's a lot of stuff we can learn from Brendan. I'm really excited. I think, having to be like just a strict leader on a team and the old guy and here's how to do it and yada, yada. Like I'm going to learn a lot of stuff from Brett of what he did with Brad's team to be so successful. I'm not going to really learn anything from Mark because we know the school book we came from. It's the same book. Right. But I'm really interested to learn from Brendan and try to take the best out of all the 4 teams we were on and try to create it into one model. I'm stoked. I'm looking forward to finishing this spiel off next week here with my guys and, give a hug to the Coup Dog. And we had 8 amazing years and Johnny Moe and Beach. But, I am excited to get back into the gym and start working on a target for next year and get rolling here. I'm pretty pumped.
A reflective and fired up Ben Hebert.
Going to a birthday party that's no longer a surprise.
Who has 10 minutes to get ready for the party.
We're laughing. I'm looking good already. We're good to go here.
If he doesn't say so himself, Benny, we'll let you go. Just awesome to see you and have a great night tonight. And we'll talk to you down the road.
Yeah. Awesome.
He is, we've been texting a lot, Call, and I'll tell you, Ben is fired up, and a motivated Ben Hebert is.
It seems like a dream team. It really does. I mean, Brendan Bottcher is such a fantastic player. I mean, his whole resume up until now just seems specifically for this team, this moment, when you get every person at that position, so great. And what he said about Brett Gallant, I mean, he is going to be Goujo and company are going to be great, but the role Brett plays on that team is a big one. And he'll be missed. And now he brings that and all of the wisdom he's got and knowledge to Bottcher's team, as does Kennedy and as does Ben. But the collective of those 4 is that's a wow.
Well, the musical chairs in the curling world and the teams was fascinating, no doubt. And one of the skippers that also was part of the big team swap, Maddie Dunstone.
Everybody was part of a swap.
Everybody was part of the swap. Maddie, good to see you. Welcome to the show. Tell us about it. How excited are you? Because everybody got a piece of the change. Not the off season, but everybody made changes. How excited are you?
Yeah, nice to see you both. You kind of hear all the changes that were kind of going on, and you figure, well, I may as well jump into this pool too. And found a pretty good opportunity here to go back home and make a pretty darn talented team myself. So, pretty excited about it. It's kind of just starting to sink in here that this is the team I'm moving forward with, and really excited to get to work.
Tell us about the team, and fascinating to hear Benny talk about a local team that can actually train and practice together. Are you guys going to have that similar model, and how important do you think that is, Matt?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to replicate what Mowat and Adine and Muirhead and what those teams are doing, I mean, that's not a realistic thing to be able to do in Canada. We don't have enough money to spread across all the depth that we have here. And if we did go that route where we're funding 1 or 2 teams, then we just kill the sport entirely, is sort of how I see it. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult on our end. Obviously, we got Colton and Beach that are living in Manitoba. Myself, I'm in BC. And then Ryan's in the Sioux there. But, we're going to find a way to make it work. Especially, kind of what I learned in the last couple of years here with my Saskatchewan-based team. Just the time you spend together practicing is truly the most important thing for growth as a team. So, I think an advantage that this team's going to have going into this is recognizing that and really making an effort right away, to be together as much as we possibly can, as opposed to going out and trying to play as many games, across the country. So we're gonna make a huge point to be able to get together quite often in Manitoba there, wherever it might be in Manitoba. We're not too sure yet. Somewhere in Winnipeg, more than likely, but we're gonna make a really good effort here as best we can to be together as much as possible.
You brought out a little bit about funding and how, you kind of have to spread it out a little bit to help as many teams as you can. Tell me about the event you just hosted, Best in the West. Why is that important for people to have that opportunity to kind of play and grow their game?
Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, to be on the other side of the glass for once, that was a really exciting event to be a part of. It went much better than I think any of us could have ever imagined. So I was really proud of that and really happy. Just kind of looking at the average age of the Brier, the Scotties, they're all kind of north of 30 years old. I think it's about 32 for the Scotties and 36 for the Brier.
Wow.
And it takes, for it to take 10 to 15 years for someone to kind of get to the show, it's pretty tough. The point of the event was just to kind of get that age group a little bit more experience, playing in front of the television cameras, wearing their provincial jackets. I would have loved to have made this a nationwide event. But I'm one person along with two other guys who have other jobs, who curl full time, I run a business. There's other things that get in the way, so I couldn't quite expand it to a nationwide event yet.
Right.
But to be able to get those teams that sort of experience, wearing their provincial jackets, it's my hope to when they actually do break in and get to that stage where they are at the Scotties or at the Brier. It's as soon as they get there, it's not let's just soak it in for 1 year. Let's enjoy our experience.
Right.
And maybe we'll get back, because the fact of the matter is nobody really knows when they're going to get back. So the whole idea of the event is to kind of prep these teams for when they do get their chance. Maybe they're actually ready. Maybe they're ready to go. And even though it is their first time, they can actually go and win the Brier or the Scotties.
You're so thoughtful about this, Matt, and we've had conversations about it. How concerned are you about the future of curling in this country?
It's tough. Like the depth is totally there. Obviously, we're not winning as much as we would like to on the world stage. I'm not too concerned about that. The fact of the matter.
Sorry, I'm going to jump in, but maybe specifically to the youth, to the young teams who are trying to break through.
So hard.
Right.
It's incredibly hard. And you kind of look at the top teams right now, like the players that are under 30, they're very few and far between.
Yeah.
Just off the top of my head on the men's side here, you got myself, Colton Lott, obviously, who's joining my team now. And Tyler Tardy is kind of another one just on the men's side who are underneath that age group of 30. And after that, there's not really many that are kind of at that top level.
Yeah. Well, here in Nova Scotia, I know you played against Stuart Thompson, a Canadian junior, and Matt Manuel, and we have a lot of other teams that are building, only to have no provincial championship for the last 2 years for them to even have that. So I can't imagine how this, and I know that's not just in Nova Scotia, that's in so many provinces that we've seen that. I can't imagine if I were a 25-year-old curler that I would feel motivated to do anything right now. I'd be like, I joined a club, I've got a job, I got to get on with my life, because the rug keeps being pulled out from under them a little bit, it seems to me.
For sure. And, it's kind of the trickiest part of one's life. You're trying to balance amateur sport. Mm-hmm. You're either beginning university, in the middle of university, you're starting to pay rent. Your parents aren't paying the bills anymore. Maybe you had to move away for school somewhere, you name it. Like there's all these other things kind of in that age 20 to 25 bracket that makes it really tough. To go and just make a full go of curling and put the career aside and school aside, that's a huge risk, right? For somebody to do. And I completely understand people who don't want to go down that road. So, that age group, there's a lot of balancing going on. And that makes it really tough to put everything into curling.
Well, good for you for putting together that spiel.
You took the words out of my mouth. We're aligned, Call. I was just going to say to you, Maddie, incredible stuff, a huge undertaking, no doubt. Are there plans for other things? Is there anything you can share with us? Is this going to be an annual event?
Yeah, it is certainly. Chatted with my two other event chairs there, Dustin Mickish and Ryland Kleider, and we're very pleased with what we did a week ago, and we're definitely going to go again. We're going to make it an annual thing. Awesome. To go multi-event thing would be a little bit difficult for three guys, like I said, who work jobs and curl full time as well. But this is definitely going to be an annual thing, and I'm very excited to see where it grows. And I'd love to see somebody take it upon themselves and make a best of the East as well.
Okay, I'm on it, Matt. I'm on it.
Please, like I said, I would have loved to have made this nationwide, but with all the moving parts, it would have been awfully difficult for three guys to pull this off. So I'm really hoping someone out east took notice of what we did there, and I'd love nothing more than to build the best of the East as well.
We got to get this clip out and put the challenge to everyone out east. It speaks to how much curlers in this country care about what we're doing here when you take something on like that, Matt. So well done. Anything else you wanted to add that we might not have asked you?
No, it's nice. It's the off season now. Obviously, the last month has been super hectic, obviously with the team change, running the event. I want to say quickly that, I'm very thankful for the people of Saskatchewan and, the people I got to meet there and obviously my teammates I got to play with as well. They truly are the best people on planet Earth, the Saskatchewan people. So, I'm going to miss them dearly. And I was thankful for every one of them that I got to interact with, and travel the world with my teammates there, playing the sport that we love. So I'm gonna miss them dearly. We're still great friends, so I'm very thankful for that. But I'm really excited to obviously head back home. To play in your home province at the highest level. I mean, that's a dream come true for any athlete, and an opportunity I felt like I had to take. So I'm really excited for this team. I think we can do a lot of damage. We're oozing with talent, so we just got to figure it out on the ice there. Very excited to see what we can do.
Well, talent's one thing, chemistry's everything, though, isn't it? Really?
Absolutely.
It's like a science experiment putting together a curling team. There's so much talent in this country. You wonder, why aren't you all doing great? And yet all the other work of the personalities have got to gel. The sports psych has got to be there. It's so much work behind the scenes. It's got to go on. But best of luck. We'll be watching.
No, awesome. Thank you guys so much, and hope you have a great summer.
Thanks, Maddie. Great to see you.
No.
Summer sounds good.
It certainly hasn't felt close to being summer. One thing I do want to pick up on that I found fascinating, Call, hearing from Ben and Maddie, that I haven't heard from rarely is the key to being together, the importance of being together.
And you just have to look at Brad's team to see that.
But also practice.
Practice is huge.
When they were saying that, in my mind, I was thinking, I don't think about these pro teams in Canada focusing on practicing that much because they're playing so much. So I found that really interesting, actually, about how pivotal that practice time is.
And we kind of heard that on this curling show, but this
this or that.
That's a show too, isn't it? When we had Bruce Mowat on, and he talked about the great thing about COVID was not playing so much and practicing more. And I don't know if I remember that quote so clearly, and thinking, I hope other people are listening to this, because you can do so much and improve your game so much by watching the games and taking note of strategy, when and how they miss and how they make their shots, there's just a lot to be learned just through practice.
We're talking about practice.
All right. We're talking about practice. We're talking about practice.
Allen Iverson, of course. Let's bring in the dynamic duo of Kim and Wayne Todd, because we can't get enough of them on the show, because you just never know what they might say next.
I think they've painted their ceiling, and I love it. Is that a new addition to the kitchen? Am I?
No, but one of the pieces fell, so we're trying to hide it with Wayne's head.
Only I would, because it looks so good.
I'm like, do you think they would notice? And Colleen, first thing off the top,
right away brings up, what a magnificent ceiling.
Thanks, Colleen.
What is it, tin or copper, or is it painted?
It's wood, but apparently the glue's not
curling, home renovation. We do it all here. How are you two? And what's on your mind tonight?
Good. How are you guys?
We're great.
We're good. I started the show by saying, finally, the last show of the season. It's been a long haul this year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we last talked to you, it was all about mixed doubles and the debacle of, the trials, and they didn't pay any attention to the points and everything. So, Wayne, I know, well, both of you probably, because I know Kim, as I sent in an email to you, Wayne is the brains of the organization here. But what have you been working on behind the scenes to bring about sort of a series and maybe to change the point system somewhat?
Not sure about changing the point system. That's nothing I can do or Kim can do. That's up to Curling Canada. We did have a nice chat with Scott Pfeiffer this afternoon about going forward, and he seems open to making changes. So that's great. As far as a super series for mixed doubles, I mean, the last 7 years, we've seen tours grow in Ontario and then now Quebec and Manitoba, but nowhere to go. Like, you've got 7 events in Ontario, but there's nowhere to go after that. Everybody's been chasing points for the Canadians for the last 7 years, but there's nothing, the Grand Slam was the same way 20 years ago when there was just, spiels and all across Canada for men's and women's. And then the Grand Slam came about, and And I think that's what my good friend Jay Allen and I decided, enough's enough. Maybe we should have a super series or grand slam for mixed doubles and have events across Canada for, something for mixed doubles players to shoot for. So.
Wayne, what goes into that? And Kim, maybe you can pick up on this too, because I'm hearing Maddie Dunstone say, I took it upon myself to create this event. You're having to take this on, I'm sure, find sponsors and ring the phones and do cold calls and all of that. Should it be up to the curlers?
Well, no. I mean, it's a big advantage for a curler to actually take upon himself to run an event like this,
right?
Because we know all the moving parts, we know what it's needed, and the curlers shouldn't be going out knocking on doors and stuff like that, but the curlers do have a good avenue to people that are interested in sponsoring curling or events like this. So, we get the information from them and we'll go and chase down the sponsors.
How important is this for this to happen, by the way? And sort of what was part of the impetus to do this, what we saw, the cancellation of the mixed doubles and the selection process and then the cancellation of the Canadian mixed doubles, like, is how badly needed is this?
Well, I think it helps everybody. Curling Canada, I don't think can solve this problem on their own. Having, a super series for mixed doubles might help solve the situation. It's needed for sure. Like I said, there's nowhere to go. So now there's something to play for. As far as points and stuff like that go, this tour is going to be run similar to the Grand Slam. The ranking system we're using is the one that's on Curling Zone so far. So there's no CTRS points involved at all. It's all strictly mixed doubles. We do have to keep it fair for everybody that's involved, and it's not just it's not just a Canadian thing. We want it to be worldwide. So you can't have Canadian teams bringing in CTRS points and kind of padding their ranking against the rest of the world. So
Kim, I'm wondering, I don't know if frustrated is the right word, but I mean, you two have been in this space for a long time now, and we're talking about this. This isn't, mixed doubles isn't new anymore. We can't talk about it in this way of like, oh, it's at the Olympics, it's this new thing. You guys have been playing this for a long time now. How frustrating is it?
Well, and I think that's part of why you see this type of thing coming about is just, similar to what Matt said, we see a need for the discipline to kind of stand on its own, to be its own showcase, to be able to attract players to come to play just mixed doubles. And so giving an opportunity for the best mixed doubles teams in the world to play on a tour will promote more curling in Canada. It will also promote more opportunity for players to play the international teams. And it's going to grow the number of players that play mixed doubles in the country. And I think that starts to build a bigger base for mixed doubles players to be able to start shooting for that Olympic podium. We don't always have to just rely on those top names to get the work done for us. So I think it's really important. I'm pretty excited about it. And, it's one of the reasons we're staying involved in the sport is we're passionate about it. So we want to see some changes and things move forward. And so, we're going to see this out, and hopefully it turns into what we envision it to be.
And when players like Laura Walker decides, a successful skip on the women's side to say, I'm going to just focus with Kirk Myers on mixed doubles, Lisa Wiggles, same thing. Does that help the cause as well? When, some of the best in the game are now saying, no, I see this as a path forward that I want to go on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. There has to be some sort of outlet for these elite curlers and the competitive curlers coming up, that they can either choose to play both, or they can actually make a serious choice to make one or the other and still make somewhat of a decent living at it. So, our first year, next year, coming up, we have 5 events. We've got an event in Ottawa, an event in Saskatoon, Winnipeg, Leduc, and then the Players Championship in Brantford. Now, that's 5 events. As Catherine Henderson said earlier, the popularity has just grown for mixed doubles. So the time to put it on, to showcase it on, whether it's the GEM platform or television, is now. So, someone has to step up and do it. And basically, we're at the end of our cycle, so there's nothing for us to do, after next year or the year after. So might as well run, a series for the sport to grow.
Yeah, I think along the same lines is when you start to see those players paying more attention to or focusing specifically, it gives the sport some more depth and brings attention to it. And respect isn't the greatest word to use, but it starts to show that, hey, this isn't just that backdoor event. This means something. These people are starting to pay more attention to the sport. When we first said we were going to play just mixed doubles back in 2015, some of the people that are playing mixed doubles were the ones to say, what are you doing? And, the sport has changed. I've got lots of people that stop me and say, oh, you play mixed doubles? I don't watch any curling, but I watched mixed doubles at the Olympics and it was so much fun to watch. Yeah. So I think being able to get more of that out to the public, might entice some more people to give the sport a try, might help the leagues and the curling clubs to fill those mixed doubles leagues or their doubles leagues. And, it can't be bad. So we're hoping it'll take off well. So,
I mean, and then how do you safeguard against what happened this year with the cancellation of the mixed doubles, with COVID being the excuse, and then the Canadian mixed with, again, COVID being the excuse, when the Brier had positive tests and the Scotties and the under 21s, but yet for some reason the Canadians? How do you make sure, for those who are deciding, this is what I'm going to dedicate my life to, that again, that rug doesn't get pulled out from under them and their work goes to waste, for lack of a better?
Well, hopefully this tour will give them another opportunity, right? So that if that happens where, for some reason COVID is still plaguing us over the next year, so that if those events get canceled, we can run these events and they can still have something to, work towards and play. And we are so thankful to see all of the tours that are growing across the country in the different provinces. And, shout out to the Curl Manitoba, and they're, announcing and looking for players, that mixed doubles players, to focus through mixed doubles throughout the summertime at their training facility. So starting to see things like that, makes me happy. So I'm, as we're very passionate about mixed doubles, and so it's nice to see it grow, for sure.
You've done great work. I feel like we're kind of underwhelming the audience with this 5 slam event tour, because this is a big deal. So I'm going to talk to you guys. We'll get something out and get this out there. But also we got to be there to live tweet it, because there's a lot of drama in mixed doubles. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is exciting. This is exciting, you guys, and you really should be commended, because you've been here through it all. You were there when the bright lights weren't on the mixed doubles world. And I always think about you guys and wonder what experience that must be like for you when you see the shininess of it now, when you were out there doing it before it became this thing. So
builders, keep building it, you two.
And the same piece you're blocking.
Yeah, we, Jay and Wayne have done a lot of work. So I'm kind of just the backseated a little bit and kind of bounce ideas off. But Jay and Wayne are really the drivers behind this. And they both, when they get a hold of an idea, they want to do it big time. So I really hope it goes. And it'd be nice to build a whole new set of household names in some players that, the public hasn't seen and we've seen out on tour. But it'd be nice to introduce the country to some new mixed doubles players, for sure.
And how about that field at the World Mixed Doubles? Was that not just pretty wildly great, eh?
Yeah, we watched as many games as we could, for sure. And the shot making is quite a bit different than when we were there in 2014. People were still kind of learning about the game and things like that. But, the preciseness of mixed doubles is huge. And one shot, if you miss 2 shots in an end, you're in so much trouble, and the game can spin on a dime. And I think that's what is so exciting about doubles for sure.
But also really, really nerve-wracking to watch.
Oh yeah, playing with a lead in mixed doubles, especially an early lead, is so terrifying.
Right, you score 4 in the first inning, and you go, "Holy, I've got another."
Exactly. Normally you'd be super excited, but in mixed doubles, you're like, crap.
No defense here.
No defense. All offense.
You know the funny thing, I know I shouldn't be saying this out loud, but I'm going to say it anyhow. But at the Olympics, after watching the mixed doubles, and then the 4-person came on, and I'm like, oh my God, we're still in the first end.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Like it took me a while to get used to the speed of a 4-person game again.
It's funny you say that, because the last Olympics, when we watched the mixed doubles first, and then we watched the 4-person, and the very first shot goes down the ice, and I'm looking at that rock and I'm going, like, is that 32 seconds? Like, is it really that slow? Like, how's the rock not traveling faster down the sheet? Was it faster than mixed doubles?
Right.
Same everything. It's just more action-packed.
And funny, when we watched, Nick Dean have to play with 3 players there at the, and then ditto for Guju at the Briar. Yeah. When you have a front end that's played mixed doubles and can jump up and sweep a rock and not even bat an eye at it and flip from side to side easily, it's kind of that's great training for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely, when that kind of all turned around for Brad and they ended up with 3, I was just like, oh, well, they're going to win. Because
no problem.
Those guys know what they're doing, and they're the sweepers in the mixed doubles team. So to get up and help or whatever, that was nothing new. And there's something to be said for being able to throw 3 rocks back to back, right? So
I would love that. I would love to throw all 8 rocks.
I knew this was going to turn into a mixed doubles love affair on the show.
Guys, so glad you get your ceiling fixed.
I know.
I'm going to be in touch because let's get this slam series out there and start spreading the news. Kudos to you guys always.
Nice to
Wonderful
see you.
of you to be on the show, and can't wait to see you on the mixed double slam series next year.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks for including us.
Okay, guys. See you.
Well, they're builders. I mean, what they're doing, the time and the commitment to not just play the sport, but now to try to take it to the next level. And a lot of this is instigated by what happened this year with the choosing of teams. Nobody wants to see that.
It really reached sort of a critical mass, right? I think there was a lot of anger and a lot of conversations when we talked to them last about what can we do in the background to sort of make a change, and they took it into their own hands. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah. What a year it has been. I mean, when you and I were talking about this recap show, where do you even begin? A lot of historic moments on the Pebble Dice this year, Call. And I know producer Soph has put together a montage to sort of take us through this odyssey that was. So let's watch that. And then we're bringing on our friend Mike Harris to close.
Mike's waiting.
Looking for 2 to tie. It pours an extra. Stay with it. Watch the roll. Look out. Oh, and the roll too far. Jones will go for gold again. Final stone. This is going to take a lot of rattling here. Run it back, kick it sideways. No! And it'll be 1, 2, 3 straight Canadian championships. Carrie Anderson. To win a 4th Canadian championship. With 3 men, they win a 4th Canadian men's curling championship. Final stone.
A lot of highlights. Couldn't have a show without Mike. Want to know what you're building? What's happening? Mike?
I'm not building anything. It's golf season, Pauline. You know, it's actually played today, and it was freezing cold. Devin texted me this morning. It was raining, about 8 degrees. It's like, what? I'm golfing, which was dumb, but anyway, here I am. Happy to be here.
There you are. Good to see you, Mike. When we watch that, you almost forget that all of that happened this year because it has seemed like a really long time. What stands out to you? You saw a lot of international teams winning a lot of things this year.
Well, I mean, just listening to the talks and all of your show there, it just mixed doubles. We'll start with there because it's the most recently talked about. That story with Italy winning to me was just absolutely a game changer for the Milan Cortina Olympics. This is the only medal that the country won was a gold in curling. So you got 2 hometown heroes. They're going to be the face of the Olympic Games, the next Winter Olympic Games, which is amazing. Just how difficult it is for Canadian teams to out on the road. Like the expectations have certainly changed. I think that's the biggest thing. It used to be, you're gonna go to the Worlds and if you have a bad week, you're still gonna make the playoffs. Those days are gone, long gone, right? So you need to really be at your best all the time, and there's so much talk about what's wrong with Canadian curling this year. That was one of the recurring questions I kept getting. Well, what's going on? Like, what's going on? I said, these other teams are really, really, really good. You just don't, and I think the players understand that. I think, again, you just go to the rededicated teams like what Botcher and Kennedy, and they're just kind of reevaluating what they need to do to be successful. Just kind of being a talented team like that not good enough anymore. So
right.
So I think it's a good thing. I think the level of play has just gone up through the roof, and we saw Brad Gushue, basically not give Brad Jacobs a chance to win the trials because they had the hammer to start the game. Nick Edin did the same thing to Brad Gushue at the Olympics, and was he had the hammer in that semifinal game, and they weren't just able to come back. So it's just there's so much talent around the world, and I watched those montages, and like every medal that was won by a Canadian athlete is now cherished, right? I mean, not to go back to when I won my silver, it was like, oh, what went wrong? That. You win a silver now, that's like you're over the moon happy, and Brad Gushue might have an argument, he's not over the moon happy. No one's ever over the moon losing their final game, but having said that, it's a huge accomplishment just to get into the playoffs, even at the World Championships or the Olympic Games now. So that's what I take from the montage. It was just a lot to go, and we had some outstanding performances. Like life. You look at Nick Edin. I saw Nick in Las Vegas. And I just said to him, that was the missing piece of the puzzle for him. He won everything else, bronze, silver, and now the gold finally, and all those world titles. And, we saw Brad Gushue win 4 Briers as a team. How about what Nick Edin's done? Geez, you look at that, 4 consecutive world championships and this full set of medals now that he's done with that team. And then Eve Muirhead, what a great year she's had with her Europeans, and then the Olympic gold, and now mixed doubles gold. So just phenomenal. Some great performances. So.
What do we take from all of that, though? What Canada has far more capacity. So how do we kind of make sure?
But not far more top teams. I mean, the top now is the top is way up here now. The top isn't. Top 10 isn't enough anymore. There's like 5 or 6 really, really world-class teams. And unfortunately, you got a bunch of teams that are, I think Canada from team 8 down to team 30 probably has 20 of those spots, right? So to get into that top 8, that, if you're going to seriously challenge Nick Edin or Bruce Mowat at a world championship, something special's got to be going on here, right? It's a serious thing. So I don't think there's a need to panic. I just think that the teams that are here just need to understand that, and they do. I think like I said, the athletes get it. The athletes know what they need to do to kind of get to that point. And even if they're doing it, doesn't mean they're going to do it, because instead there's so little to choose between. between Gushu, Mowat, and Adine at the Olympics. You could have reversed the medal order, and no one would have been a.
But to that point, Mike, they were winning consistently. I mean, Adine beat Gushu twice at the Olympics and twice at Worlds.
5 in a row. Got him 5 in a row just in big games this year.
So
massive, right? So, but then Mowat's, he's arguably the best team. It's a very short argument. I'm giving it to Nick Adine right now, just because.
Yeah.
But Mowat's the team to beat moving forward the next 4 years. He's the team everyone's going to be chasing. And what do you need to do to catch him? That's really the question that all the men's teams are asking themselves. Eve Muirhead's got a big change. I mean, Vicky Wright's not going to be playing anymore. She's stepping away at the top. She's pulling a Tyler George, I call it. Going to walk away with her gold medal and
nice.
On, which is great for her. And who knows even if Eve's going to play. And you got to change with Tiranzoni, with Pets. So the top of the women's table is maybe open. There's lots. Someone can come in and establish themselves as that number one team. Hasselborg is sticking together. So there's lots of good. But the other thing is I love that now this Super Series. I've been chatting with Jay Allen and a little bit with Wayne, more so with Jay, just about the TV stuff for this mixed double Super Series, and I can't wait to have some Canadian teams just dedicate themselves to that, and that's really the moving target in Canada, isn't it? Curling Canada placed so much emphasis on sending, Brad Gushu and Carrie Anderson to the Worlds last year. You don't need to do that anymore. That doesn't necessarily guarantee you anything. Although even Bobby Lammy would put up an argument against that. But what I'm saying is that there's Stefania Constantini and Amos Mozaner, no one would have picked them to win. So there's a lot more randomness in mixed doubles. But I think having teams dedicated to the craft, Curling Canada understanding that just because this is a great 4-person player doesn't necessarily translate into an instant medal at the World. I think the mixed doubles specialists, we're going to use that, we use that in quotes, can change the way I think mixed doubles has to be changed the way they look at it. I don't think having any emphasis on 4-person play in regards to the mixed doubles format makes any sense anymore to me. That argument is out the door as far as I'm concerned. So let's have this mixed doubles tour, establish yourself as a mixed doubles player. The other thing that I thought interesting is, a lot of people are talking about whether or not you could play 4-person and 2-person. I had a quick conversation with Ben Hebert at the Players and said, if I had a guy on my team who was playing 4-person and he wanted to go play mixed doubles, I would not. I said, well, then you don't get on a team where that would be an option. So find a team where you playing mixed doubles and playing 4-person is okay. If that's okay, then you find a team to do that. So that's up to the athletes to kind of figure that out themselves. But I think there's no point in giving points towards mixed doubles play downs based on what you've done in the 4-person game. I think we're past that now. So let's just move forward, and I'd love to see that change for next year. And the Super Series will make a big difference. Like I said to Jay, it can't be Canadian, because how can you have a Super Series without having Stefania Constantini there? You have to have your Olympic champions there. You have to have, if Eve and Bobby want to play, bring them in, or Bruce and Jen Dodds, right? Like you got the last 2 Scottish champions. So you can't have it. It can't be a Canadian thing. Right. So getting it onto that Grand Slam where it's kind of the best versus the best mentality. Yep. That's what they need to do. And I'm hoping that, we're all got our fingers crossed that it's successful, and Jem is going to be hopefully involved with it. Knock on wood. I haven't chatted to Jay recently enough, but that was part of the conversation certainly a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, I love what's going on, and the game, the level of play right now it just keeps getting better and better and better. You just keep thinking it can't keep getting better all the time, but it has over the last number of years. And this year was just unbelievable. The level of play to win these international competitions just been amazing.
Phenomenal. Are there any other changes though, when you look at, we've always talked about the timing of the Olympic trials, especially in light of the fact that the 4-person players would then jump over to mixed doubles, which was then over Christmas and New Year's, which seems like a horrible time.
I think don't we all agree that's too tight?
Yeah. Plus the emphasis on draw to the button, that there's that we weren't great at it at the Olympics. Whereas, do we need to put more emphasis on that part of the game?
I don't know. I mean, I watched the practices. They go button, 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 miss, right? Like it happened at every event. Like you watch it all the time. Like it makes no sense to me. So whether it was just an anomaly or just got lucky, I mean, who knows, right?
Yeah.
But I just think that I don't think that teams don't practice draw the button. You know, I think that they practice it enough and just figure it out. So
what about tweaking page playoff, Mike? Because you've talked about it, that the semifinal game at the Olympics for a Canadian curler is the most nerve-wracking game you'll ever play.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we need to look at that with our Brier and our Scotties to ratchet up that pressure.
Well, I think so. I don't think it makes any sense to not have your national championship be the same as the international championship.
Right.
So that to me is kind of a no-brainer, right? Make it the same. And even when, I just don't see it. Why would you make it any different? I mean, I'll go back even to the Swiss Women's Championship before they went to the Worlds. They played the no-tick rule at the Swiss Championship because they knew it was going to, even though it was a last-minute decision, they were able to make that decision. And all the players, every player in the field went, this makes total sense. Why wouldn't we play the no-tick when it's at the Worlds? Right. So, just like every Curling Canada needs to think, it's yes, television is important. Yes, the sponsors are important, but the number one thing is getting your players prepared for whatever the international championships is coming up. So use the same format. Like this is kind of basic 101 strategy, right?
Right. Yeah, and I think it is a tangible change that can actually get the curlers thinking and performing a different way.
Right, and just let's not forget too, like go way back. I mean, the reason curling originally you had one team win the round robin, they got the bye to the final, then you had the semifinal, then they had a few more teams brought into the mix. Well, now we're getting 4 teams in, so but first place teams used to having the bye to the final, so let's give them 2 chances to get into the final. We just need to change the way we think about things a little bit.
Mike, of all of the changes that have happened and who didn't change, but which do you love the most on the men's side, and which do you love the most on the women's side?
For changes?
Yeah.
Well, I think everyone's chasing Carrie Anderson still. So I like that they didn't change. I like Krista McCarville didn't change. I think Caitlin Law's new team is probably the most intriguing one for me to see how she does. She'll be a great skip. I don't have any doubt about that. And on the men's side, there's lots of interesting stories. I'm a big Matt Dunstone fan, so I like his chances with BJ at third and his new front end. So, and then, hard to argue with Botcher. I mean, and Cooey just keeps winning with whoever he plays. It doesn't matter. He's just kind of one-man wrecking crew, right? So just whoever, Tyler Tardy, just hang on to the coattails and ride him to the Brier, buddy. That's all you got to do. And because it's going to happen. So, he's that good, right? So, and of course, like I said, Botcher with this new team with Kennedy, and I like the idea that they're kind of rededicating the way they practice. I think that's important. I think all the teams are kind of have to relook at that. But otherwise, I said it's the first year of the post cycle is always the most interesting because you'll see who. Like I said, you said it, Colleen. Chemistry is everything. There's tons of talent. You just got to find out who's going to mesh in with who. I'm interested to see how Botcher fits in with the other 3. I'm really interested to see. And I think Botcher's the question mark on that team, and not to say that one way good, but every person has their own way of doing things, right? So I'm just interested to see how that one works out. I said no lack of talent, certainly. They're an awesome team. So
awesome.
Okay.
We'll get back to golfing.
Yeah, golf season. But
we have one more slam. We got one more slam.
All right.
Next weekend. I'm leaving Tuesday for a slam.
Nice.
I'm just going to make one suggestion, and I'll talk to my Sportsnet crew about this. But I think what would be really interesting right now, this slam, the first one after the Olympic cycle, invite all these new teams. Forget about the old teams. Bring all the new teams in. So next after the next Olympics, the last slam of the year is all the new teams. That'll be that would be fun.
I'm
right?
just trying
That
to
would
get
be
to,
fun.
I'm trying to get to tomorrow, and Mike's already. Mike's already
4 years away. I'm ready. I'm way ahead of you. You're all
I
good.
love that idea because actually at the last slam when it seemed like, okay, this is our last time together.
Yeah. But how excited would you like to? I want to go see
I would
Matt
have
Dunstone and
liked to
PJ
see-
right now. Let's go. Let's see it happen. So
I love it.
next cycle, if any of my Sportsnet crew are listening in, I'll mention it to them when I see them. So,
Love it.
yeah.
Let's do this again next year and 4 years from now, Mike.
Okay.
Nice to see you,
We'll
Mike.
get together before then.
Yeah.
Great to see you both. Have a great summer.
Okay.
We'll look forward to bumping into you in a rink or a golf course somewhere.
Yep. Okay, Mike. Awesome. Thank you.
Did we keep it to a half hour?
No, we absolutely did not.
We're so bad. We're sorry.
Well, this is it. Season 2 of That Curling Show. We
wow.
elevated this year. We have our own apparel.
We have apparel.
You guys can buy it.
Yeah. Lovely. So next year, maybe same time, same place. Oh, there's our little curler. I've got to get a new mug.
Yeah, where'd it go? I left mine at home.
Mine broke on the flight back from where were the Olympics? They seemed like 4 years ago already.
Beijing. Remember when you ran off the set?
I do remember that. That was fun times.
And ate the egg and dropped it and ate it.
There was that. And you never did eat the egg.
I actually, funny enough, I'll reveal this right now as we end for another season. And of course, thank you to the fans as always. I actually put one in my backpack.
Yes.
To eat.
Yes.
On the show. I recently found it in the bottom of my backpack.
Well, I think you could still eat it. It's smashed. I mean, I think it would still work. I think it's one of those things that you could keep in your cupboard and eat 10 years from now.
I might still have it. I'll bring it over when I come visit this summer.
Oh, good. Can't wait.
Maybe we should do a summer edition together of That Curling Show.
In Italy on mixed doubles.
Right.
I love it.
To the fans, again, thank you to the curlers as always. Colleen and I talk about it all the time. You are the most accessible athletes at the highest level.
Don't go changing.
In sport, don't go changing. Fans, have a great summer. Call. I wouldn't want to do this with anybody else.
Ditto. Right back at you. And thanks, producer Soph, who now has a puppy.
Not only that, who finished her first curling season as well.
I know.
Yeah.
The Friday Night League.
It's almost like everybody wants to be a part of the curling party now.
Who doesn't want to be part of the curling party? It's the best party. All right. We'll talk later. Have a wonderful summertime.
Thanks for tuning in, curling fans.
Love you. Thanks, producer Soph.